Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Aaron Bingham, Product Manager with BayWa. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. I can see that it looks like a few folks are still kind of streaming in and getting logged on. So while folks are getting logged on, I wanted to take a few moments to take care of some housekeeping. So first off, I wanted to let everyone know that you all can use the Q&A function to ask any questions as we're going through today's material. We'll be monitoring the Q&A section for questions throughout the webinar. So go ahead and pop any questions that you have as you have them in there, and we'll be sure to ask them as there's time. So today we're really excited to be joined by Jeff McAndrew. He's the Senior Director of Sales over at Generac Clean Energy, and he'll be teaching us more about the PWRcell ecosystem of products. So before I hand things over to you, Jeff, let me go ahead and just quickly run through a few updates from the BayWa team. So first up, we have BayWa team members that are going to be at a few upcoming events, including RE Plus at Texas, which is happening April 5th and 6th in Austin, Texas. Our team will be out on the show floor, so please find us and come say hi if you see us. And we also will be going ahead and popping in the chat a link to 10 reasons why you should be working with BayWa. It's a great document that explains all of the strengths of working with BayWa as one of your distribution partners. And so if you're not working with us already, please check out that link and send us a note to get started. Over here at BayWa, we're always striving to be America's preferred solar and energy equipment distributor. And if you haven't worked with us before, we strive for deep partnerships, both with our manufacturing partners and with our customers. So we'd love to work with you and bridge any gaps that you might have in your product needs. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to you, Jeff. Jeff, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Let me just switch the screen over here.
Sure.
All right, and echoing Aaron's comments, thank you everyone for joining. Aaron, can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, looks good.
Awesome. Hi all, as Aaron mentioned, my name is Jeff McAndrew. I'm sure I know some of you on the line here. I'm Director of Sales for Generac Clean Energy. And before we get started, thank you to our friends at BayWa. We've been working together for years. I expect that many of you are already working with BayWa, but they've been a great partner to us. And frankly, our customers love working with them. So definitely, if you're not already, be in touch with their team. So as Director of Sales, I've got the pleasure of growing sales with our group of market development managers all over the country, and I'm going to flash a map of them a little bit later in this presentation. So today, I'm going to talk about Generac as a company briefly. We'll mostly focus on our PWRcell solar and storage technology and its various advantages. And then at the end, we'll definitely take time for Q&A if you have any questions. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Generac is a US-based company. We're headquartered in Waukesha, Wisconsin. We've been around for over 60 years, which means, we've actually been around longer than the warranties that we have on these products, which is pretty unheard of in this industry. And over the last 60 years, we've grown to be about 10,000 or maybe a little over 10,000 employees now globally. And we're on a mission to be a leader in transforming how we generate, use, and distribute energy. We've got millions of customers. I mean, 3 million of them alone are, roughly 3 million alone are home standby generator customers. So, and not to mention the few million customers that we have that are Ecobee customers, et cetera. But we've got almost as many homeowners that are trusting Generac to back up their home as the entire resi solar industry has combined from a rooftop solar perspective, which is pretty wild. Over the past few years, Generac's focus has really shifted to powering a smarter world. Our purpose statement as a company is to lead that evolution to more resilient, efficient, and sustainable energy solutions, which we're absolutely going to talk about today. So in terms of those sustainable energy solutions, we're laser focused on building products that can help homeowners produce and store their own energy so they can use it when they want to or when they need to. And with that, we're also helping homeowners reduce the amount of energy that they actually consume, whether that be in the form of load management devices like the Power Manager or even an Ecobee thermostat. We're very much working to help build out the Grid 2.0. For those of you who are familiar, essentially, where behind the meter assets like batteries, EV chargers, thermostats, hot water heater switches can all be used to stabilize the grid. And a few years back, we acquired a company called BayWa. Their platform allows us to manage and control these behind the meter devices. So before we jump into PWRcell, we're going to do a quick interactive poll. Aaron, do you want to run that out to the group?
Yeah, let's see. We'll have that pop up. There we go.
Awesome. So the question is, what are your battery attachment rates over the last 12 months? It's always interesting for us to see where the attachment rates are today, where they've been, and where people think they're going. I imagine this is always, as Aaron, I'm sure you've seen this as well. Like, it's always skewed geographically.
Sure.
I see some folks filling out the 20 to 50%. That's our California folks. 5 to 20%. It's like mid-Atlantic, Florida. 0 to 5% is, scattered about. Awesome. 66% of folks have responded so far. So as you can see here, roughly 50% or half the folks on this call have between 0 and 5% of their jobs have a battery attached. 33% or a third of the folks have between 5 and 20%. So 1 in 10, 1 in 5 to 1 in 10 jobs have a battery. And less than a quarter of folks are 20 to 50%. But the cool thing is you're all on this webinar because energy storage is going to be a part of your future. You acknowledge that. And I think we all know that I imagine that all of us on this call share the mission to accelerate the transition to clean, renewable energy. And I think we all know that batteries are going to be a big part of that. Thanks, Aaron. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll.
Awesome. Yeah, there's the results popping up for everyone if you haven't seen them already.
There you go.
Pretty interesting. About 46% of folks are in the 0 to 5 range, 38% in the 5 to 20, and 15% in the 20 to 50. We don't have anyone on who's including storage in more than half of their installs yet. So that'll be exciting.
Still a little early in Hawaii, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. All right. Let's move forward here. Let me see if I can cancel out on that poll. All right, let's jump into the PWRcell platform, which we're really here to discuss. So high level, the PWRcell platform is a fully integrated solar and storage platform, from optimizers on the roof to the inverters, batteries, load management devices, and even generators. We're going to be launching a DC generator here eventually, hopefully at the end of this year. Before we talk about the products themselves, I always like to talk about what are the applications that this product actually serves. So first and foremost, PWRcell can be used as a standard grid-tied solar inverter with our optimizers to save homeowners money the same way existing 2 to 3 million systems that are installed throughout the country are set up. We don't require a battery. This is a misconception. A lot of folks only think about Generac when a battery is involved. But the reality is, we've got a lot of contractors now who will sell us as PV only, knowing that those homeowners are going to want a battery in the future. And the contractor is going to want the ability to upsell a battery in the future as well. So definitely keep in mind, PWRcell can be used for just PV only savings, like many of our customers buy solar for today. Backup power is for sure the universal value proposition for batteries. Honestly, even when you have rate arbitrage, virtual power plants, et cetera, homeowners want a battery for backup power. Rate arbitrage might help pay for that backup power battery, and same for virtual power plants. But to be clear, the homeowner is almost always buying the battery for backup, and the savings are a bonus. And this is why the majority of our homeowners have bought PWRcell historically. But that being said, we are seeing a shift from utilities to time of use rates, where PWRcell is, frankly, very well suited. We'll discuss that. Customers who are in time of use markets benefit from the fact that this is a DC coupled platform, and we can charge and discharge our batteries more efficiently than just about any of our competitors, which means all things being equal, we should save homeowners in those markets more money if we're able to minimize the losses going into and out of the battery. Beyond time of use, and sort of the next step for utilities is to limit net metering by disincentivizing it. like we're seeing in California with NEM 3, or not to allow it at all like we see in markets like Hawaii. And here again, because we're predominantly DC coupled, we excel because we operate very efficiently when it comes to cycling our batteries on a day-to-day basis. This is also a key application for the don't tread on me homeowners who want to save money and just don't want to give the utility company any benefit by net metering. So what you see in these three screenshots here is the PWRcell system producing a typical solar bell curve in the left screenshot. And then I'm showing on shots 2 and 3 that the battery will take over load in the home when there isn't enough solar available and power from the house, empowering the house from stored sunshine versus pulling from the grid. And so shown another way, and I love this is a screenshot directly from our Power Fleet application, which you'd have access to if you joined us as a partner. Essentially, you've got a home that shows little to no import from the grid, which would be purple on this chart. You're not seeing any purple here. Just the green in the morning, which shows household consumption powered by the battery. Yellow in the middle hours of the day, which shows household consumption powered by solar. And then green again in the evening. So the battery's powering the house throughout the evening. You'll also notice that the green line, which is battery state of charge, rises all the way to the top in the middle of the day, showing that we've recharged the battery and we're ready to go for the evening. So this specific site is obviously a PWRcell system. It's got 6 PV links, which are our optimizers and a full battery cabinet. On a good day in March in New England, this site would be producing over 50 kilowatt hours in a day. That's either consumed by the house or exported to the grid. And this is exactly what our customers who are on the line here, who are coming from California, this is exactly what you're going to want a home to look like in a post-NEM 2 world in California. This is what a lot of our sites in Puerto Rico, Hawaii, frankly, Tennessee, a few other sites where homeowners are powering their house primarily from solar and energy storage and basically using the grid as an insurance policy, like buy from the grid only if you need to. That's what these systems look like, and these homeowners are quite happy. We do serve a niche market where homeowners get hit with demand charges. Since we could tell our batteries to kick in if and only if the house starts to consume a certain amount of power, we've got a pretty good platform for this. This is out of the box. We're able to say, hey, discharge the battery if the house starts to consume 3 kW, and it'll level the house's consumption and therefore keep homeowners in a lower rate class for demand charges. Mostly we see this in markets like Arizona. And then last but not least, all of our inverters are VPP ready, and we have a super aggressive grid services team going after projects to try to bring more of these opportunities to market. As these come online, we're looking to partner with high quality contractors to deliver installs in a target region. And generally the utility helps us provide an incentive to the homeowners for opting in. So we have programs where these incentives are $1,000 all the way up to $10,000+ for being part of a 5-year program. So it's pretty impactful. We've got a program in Arizona right now that's like a $4,000 benefit to homeowners for installing a PWRcell so that the utility can dive in and use that capacity as needed. We've worked these programs also in the Northeast. This grid here that you see on the bottom right is actually from our Connected Solutions Guaranteed Incentive Program, where like a homeowner, for example, who gets an M6, which is 18 kilowatt hours of capacity in Rhode Island, is going to get a guaranteed payment of $1,800 a year from Generac for the utility to be able to tap into their battery up to 65 times a year. So this is incredibly lucrative for homeowners. It's a really good program.
What an exciting way to be able to generate additional revenue from your solar install, right? You get all those normal benefits, and then you get to these programs.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see Generac come up with more of these guaranteed incentive programs, because one of the challenges for contractors, and I'm sure folks on the line would agree with this, with the utility programs, oftentimes it's a variable payout, and like you don't know how many events there are in the year. You don't know how long those events are, so you don't know how much power you're going to be pushing from your battery during those demand response events. And so calculating the incentive is really difficult. What we learned from contractors is like, well, we're not really selling into the VPP program because it's hard for our sales team to guarantee what a homeowner is going to get as a net benefit. And so what Generac has done in this case in Mass, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, and has said basically, hey, we've done the math on the efficiency of our system, how much we can power output, and we're going to guarantee the homeowners get this much of a payment. So we're going to take the risk, not the homeowners.
Wow, it's great.
So PWRcell can be used for various applications, as you've seen. One thing that I want to be better about, and I think the team is working on, is really, being clear. What is the ideal customer for PWRcell? Like, we're not necessarily trying to be all things to all people, but who is the right customer to go after with PWRcell? And in my opinion, it's when a homeowner needs between 5 and 12 kilowatts of PV and wants to back up as much of the house as possible within a reasonable budget, and they're going to be cycling their batteries on a daily basis. That is a sweet spot for us because we have multiple advantages in terms of managed whole home backup power and daily cycling. And again, we've got a lot of systems that are used just for backup power. But when you combine our backup capabilities with our daily cycling advantages to save homeowners more money, we really excel in that instance. I mean, from a whole home backup perspective, our full battery cabinet, which you'll see pretty soon here, holds 18 kilowatt hours of capacity and can push 9 kW continuously, which is enough to back up most homes in the US. But just as importantly, we're combining that powerful battery with a load management device called the Power Manager. And that automatically manages loads in an outage so that the house doesn't pull too much power and shut the battery down. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. From a daily cycling perspective, the 18 kilowatt hour battery is right sized to provide most homeowners coverage through peak rates in a time of use environment. It can take a lot of homeowners through the night if they don't have the ability to net meter. So the other benefit of our platform is that our optimizers are rated for 2,500 watts. You're connecting multiple panels to a single optimizer. And we usually have very limited clipping unless they're way oversized, which we see pretty rarely. So then we take that unclipped production, we optimize that DC power, we send it right into the battery as DC to charge it, and we only invert that DC to AC one time, which is when we send it to the house. And because of that, we're oftentimes clipping less and charging and discharging our batteries more efficiently than some of our competition, which means, again, all things being equal, we should produce more kilowatt hours over the course of the day. If we're putting more energy into the battery and we're losing less of it charging and discharging the battery, we should generate more kilowatt hours. All right, we've covered Generac applications for PWRcell, and now we'll look at the products that bring it all together. Everything starts with the inverter. I mentioned sweet spots like 5 to 12 kW. You can do multiple inverters for like a 15, 20, 25, 30, 50 kW system. I say sweet spot because it's our bread and butter. I think if you'll find that commissioning a single inverter system, I can do it in like 5 minutes. It's very, very fast. And I think frankly, that's where we win. So this is a 7.6 DC coupled hybrid inverter. When I say DC coupled, we're directly connecting the battery on a DC distribution panel in the inverter. We're also directly connecting our optimizers from the roof into that same DC distribution panel in the inverter. And so the DC is literally optimized on the roof, flows through that distribution panel right into the battery, charges the battery, and then flows out as DC through the inverter. This inverter can be used for both whole home and partial home backup, depending on what's going to make most sense for that homeowner. And as previously mentioned, all the inverters are VPP ready. If a virtual power plant is going to be available in your market, we are very likely going to be capable of participating in that program. So the PV Link is our rooftop optimization device. This is a little bit different from what you might be used to with SolarEdge or Enphase or Tigo. Each one of these serves as an MPPT or maximum power point tracking device for anywhere between 2 and 8 panels, usually 8, closer to 7 or 8 panels. With today's panels, it's like 7 or so, because you're putting about 2,600 watts on one of these devices. And it's paired with our SnapRS rapid shutdown device. The great thing about these units is that you're putting fewer power electronics on the roof. And you can put 7.5 to 8 kW of solar on a single home run back to the inverter. If you've got another 3 to 5 kW, you're just going to use one other home run. So you could have, actually you could have up to 15 kilowatts of solar on the roof on 2 home runs back to the inverter. So pretty minimal from a wiring perspective. And again, your average job is going to have anywhere between 3 and 5 of these optimizers on a single inverter.
That's really cool. And so what happens within the string that a PV Link is connected to when one of the modules is shaded, let's say, or part of the module, one of the modules is shaded?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this device is a boost converter, which means it's taking the available voltage and it's boosting it up to 380 volts. Some of the old string inverters were what you'd call a buck converter. But in our case, as long as we have 60 volts open circuit, which is like 2 panels available, we're going to boost that voltage up to roughly 380, and we're going to make power. So like, what would actually happen if one of these 6 panels on one of these PV links was shaded? We would track to the maximum power point of the 5 panels that are not shaded. And if 2 of them were shaded, we'd track to the maximum power point of the 4 panels that were available. And so you're not losing. I think a misconception is, oh, you're optimizing multiple panels at a time. If one of them gets shaded, you're going to lose the whole string. That's not how it works. You're taking the available voltage. Essentially, if each one of these 6 panels was 40 volts, then you've got a string of 240 volts. And if one of them gets shaded, now we're just optimizing 200 volts. So you're not losing production the way that you might have with an old string inverter that was a buck converter, which meant, if you don't meet this certain voltage limit, you're going to lose. Yeah. You're going to lose all your production. We actually have good videos on our Clean Energy YouTube page showing us literally shading an entire PV module with a cardboard box, so that there's like no voltage available, and we're producing literally the 6 panels minus that 1. So yeah, these devices are great. We've been making these for years, and we've had really, really good luck from a reliability perspective on these devices as well.
Yeah, it's a really efficient architecture.
So to comply with NEC 2017 and 2020, we've got our RS802 rapid shutdown device. This replaces the previously manufactured RS801. We've seen tremendous reliability from these units over the past year. The nice part about the SnapRS is that you're literally just clicking them into the negative whip of the PV module before you load it onto the roof. And it essentially just becomes an extension of the negative whip of the PV mod. So it doesn't really require much thought from an installation perspective. You've got 1 per panel. If your company did install 801s in the past and had any issues with those devices, frankly, we've got the best compensation plan to go out and replace those units with 802s. We'll do proactive full site replacements to get 802s up so that your homeowners have the best experience possible. We've fielded hundreds of thousands of these units, and we've seen exceptional performance. So if you have any questions about the previous units, feel free to reach out directly. But we've got a good plan in place for those, and these units have been phenomenal.
And should folks contact the Generac service team, or who's the best party to reach out to?
Yeah, I would reach directly out to our tech support team. They're equipped to answer those questions. We do run into instances, I'll say, of contractors who've done some site replacements, but never called or never created cases, and that might justify getting in touch with the sales team, who can be a liaison for them and support to make sure that we can get people compensated for work that they've done in the past. But we're not hiding behind this. We definitely want to be as proactive as possible to make sure that our contractors and our homeowners have the best experience possible.
Yeah, I've seen all the effort that y'all have put into that. It's been really fantastic to see as a partner.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the real star here is our battery. As mentioned, this holds up to 18 kilowatt hours of usable capacity, can push a whopping 9 kilowatts of continuous power, so more than double the continuous and peak output of some of our competitors. And so we find oftentimes that contractors who are using like 2 Encharge 10s or 2 Tesla Powerwalls, or frankly, like two Franklin batteries now, oftentimes they can get away with selling one of our 18 kilowatt hour cabinets. So the cabinet with 6 battery modules inside, because it's giving you that 9 kilowatt max continuous and a 50 amp surge. And so it's quite a powerful battery. Again, DC coupled, so you're going to have the efficiency that'll help with the customers who are cycling these batteries on a daily basis. The battery is adaptable. It's not installed in 9, 10, 13.5 kilowatt hour increments, which is good, not just from an install perspective, but also a service perspective. You can use any battery with any amount of PV. This is interesting to a lot of contractors because a lot of folks come to us from like AC coupled batteries. So they're like, hey, I've got 5 kW of solar. How much energy storage can I put on the system? The size of the battery for us, because we're DC coupled, is actually decoupled from the size of the PV array. There are certain combinations of solar and battery that might make sense, but you're not forced into selling a 6 battery module system or 2 of those battery cabinets because of the size of the PV array. We've got sites that are like 4 kilowatts with 18 kilowatt hours of storage. We got sites that are 10 kilowatts DC that have 9 kilowatt hours of storage. The system is flexible. You're not forced into any specific configurations. You size the battery based on what the homeowner needs it for. If they need it for backup power, bigger the battery, the better. If they just want to back up essential loads and they want to do time of use rate arbitrage, smaller battery is going to work great for that. We also have the ability to add battery modules over time. So we've got customers who, start off small, like in Northern California. We got contractors who are standardized on 9 or 12 kilowatt hour batteries. And then PG&E started shutting off power proactively. And those homeowners realized they need these systems for more than just daily cycling. We need them for backup power, and they wanted to back up more than what they were able to with the smaller batteries. So you can add
referring to the public safety shutoffs that were happening in California.
Exactly. Yeah. So super windy, but nice and sunny day. Utility shutting off power, and the homeowners are saying, "Oh shoot, I'm not just using this for rate arbitrage anymore. I actually want to back up more than I was planning to have to."
Yeah, that's a really important application. Yeah.
The thing I'll mention from an install perspective is just, the heaviest component here is like 75 pounds. The battery packs are 55 pounds each, so it's fast, easy to install. All the wiring is plug and play. I say that truly, like literally, we've got the Cat5 cables ready to go into the battery modules when you're installing. And then the connections from the battery to the inverter, it's just 3 10-gauge cables. So contractors really like the install of the battery is quite fast. You got one person who can do it.
Very smooth. What would you say are some of the benefits of having a modular battery solution as opposed to some of the other ways we've seen, some of the other strategies we've seen with other products?
Yeah, I think I would say twofold from install and then from a service perspective. From an install perspective, oftentimes we'll see like a helper installing the battery while the electrician is next to them wiring in the transfer switch, the inverter. You could literally have one person install the battery cabinet, carry the battery modules into the basement or to the garage or to the side of the house, wherever it's being installed. You don't need multiple people to install it. And so you can just be more efficient with your labor. So from an install perspective, the modularity is nice there. From a sales perspective, it's being able to upsell homeowners after the fact, grow your customer lifetime value. And then from a service perspective, we have had tremendous quality from Panasonic, who makes these battery packs for us. But if you ever needed to replace a single battery pack or battery module, you can actually jump out the one battery module and keep the system running. And we've seen that in some limited instances where we've had 6 battery modules installed and one of them needs to be replaced for whatever reason. You can literally jump out that one battery module, keep the series of modules going, and now the homeowner's running on 5 battery modules until the replacement comes in 2 days or whatever it may be. So it's all around. It's all around. I believe in this modular approach. We've heard some horror stories of competitors having issues with the battery. You need to send like a whole team of people to remove the battery, get it back, and then ship it. And they're 250, 300 pounds. So
yeah. Find something to ship it in. Yeah.
All around, this is a great way to go from a modular perspective. I'll also say, like, I've installed this battery myself. Granted, I've been with the technology for like 6 years, but if I can do it, then I think pretty much anyone can do it. It's pretty easy to install, honestly. The other thing I want to mention is just that the battery capacity and power output stack. So the more battery modules, I know this should be obvious, the more battery modules, you get more capacity, but you're also getting more power output. So you can literally back up more of the house for longer with a bigger battery. You're not just adding, duration of outage protection, you're literally adding more power, and therefore you can back up more of the house. And you'll see on that full battery cabinet of 6 modules, we've got a 50 amp surge, which, we've got homeowners backing up 3-ton AC units using a Sure Start, which you all can buy through BayWa that Generac sells to them. We do make a whole home transfer switch. Actually, we make tons of these we have hundreds of thousands of these on an annual basis because we use these also for generators. But we have service rated transfer switches. We also have non-service rated transfer switches. And the reason that's interesting is because, especially in places like California, or where you've got a 200 amp services with meter main, we've got a 7.6 kilowatt inverter, which means you can land it on a 40 amp breaker. And with a non-service rated ATS, you actually, in a lot of instances, our contractors don't have to break the connection between the meter and the main, and it can save costs on a main service panel upgrade. And they'll just use a non-service rated transfer switch to back up loads in a sub panel, as opposed to having to break the meter and the main. So it's definitely an advantage for us. But whether you're doing whole home or partial home, you'll be using one of these transfer switches. It's just a difference of whether you're going to use the 200 amp or 100 amp non-service rated. All right, the power manager. This is honestly my favorite component to discuss in the spirit of backup power. This device connects up to 6 240 volt circuits and will automatically manage them in an outage to prevent an overload scenario. So while we'll automatically manage loads, it also gives the homeowner the ability to use their phone and turn loads on and off if they need to. I'll give you an example where that made sense. I was traveling to Pennsylvania with my family to see my parents over the holidays, and I live in New England. We had a grid outage here, like literally on Christmas Eve. I got the notification that the grid was down. My PWRcell system is islanding, and I realized that, my house was pulling a fair amount of power at that moment. And I'm thinking like, oh, what could this be? I opened the app and I could see that my hot water, we have an electric hot water heater, and my house is consuming a pretty decent amount of energy. Or power. So I look at the app and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't actually need that running. And while it would have automatically been managed to prevent the house from overloading my battery, I was able to literally shut it off manually from my phone 400 miles away. And prevent it from turning on at all throughout the rest of the duration of that outage. So
that is very cool.
Yeah, it's great. And the difference here is we're automatically managing loads based on how much power is available in the battery or from solar as well. And so this device will essentially sense if the PWRcell system is struggling to back up loads, it'll automatically manage these 6 2-pole breakers in the priority that they've been assigned to make sure that the essentials in the house are still running. This is not a sub panel. This is literally you're extending up to 6 2-pole breakers into this device and then back into their breakers in the main. And what that does is it prevents us from seeing a scenario where a system could be overloaded. So one of the worst homeowner experiences when buying a battery is, grid goes down. And even in the event of having like 2 power walls or 2 Encharge 10s or, a lot of capacity, if you have an electric vehicle plugged in and you have a level 2 charger and it's consuming, 32 amps, and then you turn on the broiler, the electric range, the entire house could lose power because you don't have any way of managing those electric circuits in your home. Like, you're not thinking about it. Grid goes down, you might see a flicker in the lights. Maybe you notice that you got a notification on your mobile phone. And so you're just living like you normally would. And then, oops, I turned on too many loads in my house, and the whole system loses power. Power Manager will automatically shut off those loads the second the system thinks it's being overloaded. And then it will turn them back on when that power is available. It'll turn them on one at a time. After it's temporarily paused them. And so what that does is it allows you to literally back up more of your house with the same amount of energy storage, because now I'm managing these loads. Oftentimes, you have to size competitor systems that don't have load management. You have to size batteries based on the biggest loads that are going to turn on in an outage. We can avoid that because we can manage those loads in the outage.
Either manually in the moment or have an automatic scheme for it to follow. That's really, really awesome. Make sure that all of the electrons in the battery go as far as possible.
Exactly. Yep. All right, Aaron, let's pop up the second poll.
All right. Get the second poll going here. Awesome.
All right, the question is, what two factors are most important when considering energy storage? And the options are price, power output, aesthetics, weight, and reliability.
So this is for everyone on the call. Yeah, just let us know which of these are your top two. That's what we're looking for.
Awesome. A lot of price, Aaron.
Yeah.
A lot of price, a lot of reliability, power output seeming a little bit less important. Nobody cares about the way it looks, which is interesting. That's great.
Or so they say right now.
Or so they say until they go to install it, the homeowner says, "What is that?" Yeah. Everybody's got a really strong install force too, because nobody cares about the weight. We get salespeople on the call who are saying they'll figure it out. They'll figure out how to get it into the garage or the basement. Awesome. We've got over 75% participation if you want to read the results here.
Yeah, let's see if we can go ahead and close the poll out.
Okay.
And have those results pop up here. Awesome. Oh, it just flashed for me just briefly. I'm not sure if you can still see it. I'm not sure where it went for me, but looked like the top.
Yeah, I can read this to you. I see it on my screen here.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So what two factors are most important when considering energy storage? 58% of folks said price, 26% said reliability, 16% said power output. Nobody selected aesthetics or weight, which is interesting to me, but I believe it. I think personally, I probably would have selected power output and reliability. Price is a big factor, of course. I think we've seen that with some companies that come into the market with a battery that's got probably reliability and power output, but the price is just out of the ballpark of what a homeowner is willing to pay. So interesting. Aaron, any comments on your end for this?
No, it's just always interesting to see, where the priorities are for customers that are making these decisions, and for installers that are working to install the systems. Thanks for participating, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. All right, a few final points and reminders on differentiation, and then we will look at next steps and wrap up. One thing I didn't discuss too much was PowerView. PowerView is going to help your homeowners prepare for an outage by notifying them when there's a risk of a weather-related outage. So we've got a functionality called Outage Guard, which homeowners can opt into, and it'll automatically put the system into backup mode 24 hours before an anticipated outage. And so it'll make sure your batteries are topped off before the snow or ice storm hits. That way, when the grid goes down, you get the best chance of lasting as long as possible. Homeowners can opt into or opt out of this if they'd like to. If they're not concerned about outages, you can opt out. Most of our homeowners are opt into. I think a vast majority of our homeowners are opt into this functionality, and it's pretty cool. When the grid does go down, we notify homeowners that their system is islanding. Don't worry, Generac PWRcell is backing up your house. And then from there, you can open up the app. You'll see exactly how much your house is consuming, how much time you have left in the outage based on your current consumption and the capacity in the battery. And from there, homeowners can manage those 6 2-pole breakers right from their smartphone. So this is going to help homeowners be better prepared for outages, be more aware that the outage has happened, and absolutely be in control. In terms of being aware, sometimes we'll get questions like, hey, what if the homeowner doesn't have internet, grid goes down? Number one, we should always be backing up internet, but number two, we've got cell kits. We give cell kits available for all of our systems. I highly recommend that you install cell kits with our system so that you don't have to run that Ethernet cable anymore. Yeah. The cool thing about our cell kit is that we provide second-by-second data even with the cell kit, which is awesome. So you'll be able to manage those loads in real time, see how much the house is consuming in pretty much real time. It's second-by-second data, not 5-minute, 15-minute, 4-hour increments, which is important when you're trying to manage loads in an outage. Go ahead, Aaron.
It's incredibly important. And, I think everyone on the call has probably had that experience where one of their customers changes their Wi-Fi password or gets a new router and suddenly everything's offline. And unless they're, somewhat tech savvy, it's kind of tough to get it back online without rolling a truck. So having a cell card on site is definitely the way to go to avoid those issues.
Yeah, definitely. I think for people who are laughing right now, I think like every conversation I have, contractors like, yeah, 30% of our truck rolls, doesn't matter whose system it is, 30% of our truck rolls are like reset internet routers.
Yeah, it's painful.
So avoid it. Use a cell kit as long as you've got good cell coverage. All right. Sorry about that. My slides are jumping just a little bit. Okay, we discussed this a bit, but again, PWRcell's DC coupled, so we're going to charge and discharge our batteries more efficiently than most all of our competition. In some cases, this could save like 4 to 5% of what's going into and then coming out of the battery over our competition, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up over a 25-year period of time. Saving 3, 4, or 5% makes a huge difference when you're charging and discharging your batteries on a daily basis. I mean, if you were like apples to apples systems, you're comparing 18 kilowatt hours with 4% loss every single day. You can see those savings add up, especially in markets like California, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, where the electricity rates are just crazy per kilowatt hour. And so for NEM 3 customers, again, I've got to mention that because it's such a turning point in our industry for California to be so battery centric. But for NEM 3 customers, the result here is that we should be able to generate a better ROI than some of our leading competitors. I bet that for the average size contractor, the promotions that we'll discuss are going to save them hundreds, if not, we've seen thousands of dollars over some of the other products that they've been using. And then beyond that, if the system is running more efficiently, and we lower the cost and operate more efficiently, we really should be able to generate a better return on investment for those homeowners. From a backup power perspective, single fully loaded battery cabinet is going to push 9 kilowatts max continuous. Most of our contractors who are switching to PWRcell or have switched in the past, we're able to get away from doing 2 of our competitors' solutions to doing a single one of our battery cabinets. You can do multiple battery cabinets, but I think you'll find that in a lot of cases, you don't necessarily need to. So we're going to help our contractors be more competitive by nature of only needing 1 fully loaded battery cabinet instead of 2 of our competitors.
And if folks did want to hit that upper limit, they could, for each inverter, add a second battery cabinet and 6 more battery units.
Yeah, that's correct. So you're going to max out an inverter at 36 kilowatt hours of storage. So 2 full battery cabinets, each with 18 kilowatt hours. That's right.
Wow, great.
And then again, on the Power Manager, we're going to automatically manage loads so that you're not getting calls in an outage from a homeowner who tried to do laundry while they were soaking in their hot tub. This is also going to, again, it's going to allow you to install less energy storage, and thus it's going to help you save costs on the job. This is a good illustration of how this works. One last time. Without load management, you have 3 loads that turn on, at roughly the same time, and you're running your EV charger, and then the well pump turns on, and you exceed the system's capacity. That's going to shut down power to the entire house in an outage, and you're going to get likely an unhappy call from a homeowner. Power Manager will automatically manage these loads, shut them down, and then turn them on one at a time so that we can power each of them. We're not so concerned with 9 kilowatts max continuous. I'm not so concerned about running a lot of loads continuously. I'm more concerned about the starting current of each of those loads, and this is going to manage that. The other thing I should say about Power Manager is this device retails, for around $1,000 MSRP. So it's much more cost competitive than some of the other load management options. And again, it's integrated directly into the PowerView mobile app. So when the homeowner opens their mobile app, the PowerView mobile app, Power Manager is just one of the options.
It's a really cool device. We've seen some other options out there in this space, things like the SPAN smart electric panel.
Yep.
How does a solution like this compare to a solution like that? I can see a couple of really obvious differences, but maybe just run through them quickly for the folks that are here today.
Yeah, I think I'll start off in Span's favor. It's a much larger device and panel. And so you're connecting a lot more to it. But that being said, we did a lot of research with homeowners and we found that most of our homeowners are going to be good managing 6 2-pole breakers in the home, even for homes that are becoming more and more electrified. So, the biggest difference is that it's significantly more cost competitive. It's going to cost less money to buy the device. It's going to take like 2 hours to install the device. It has no impact on whether or not a homeowner needs a main service panel upgrade. I've seen some instances where contractors are selling other products with a span panel. And don't get me wrong, I think the span panel is an awesome product, but when you factor in some cases needing a main service panel upgrade on top of the cost of that hardware, the span hardware, as well as the time to install, you're looking at like many thousands of dollars. And in our case, we're looking at like 2 to, I would say 3 hours worst case installing this device and like $1,000 MSRP. So it's going to be really, really competitive from a cost perspective. And again, it doesn't just allow homeowners to turn loads on and off manually. It will automatically turn loads on and off in an outage based on how much battery capacity is available. And like a span panel just doesn't have that. It doesn't know how much power is, available left in a Powerwall 2, for example.
And there's a question that popped up here that's kind of relevant here in the moment as well. So, yeah. Do you mind if you're able to share a little bit of the differences between the Power Manager and the Savant Smart Breaker solution? Is that a solution you're familiar with?
I'm not. I wish what you're telling me is that I need to become more familiar with it. And it sounds cool. The thing I would guess is that the Savant Smart Breaker is not going to know how much power is available or capacity is left in whatever battery is being installed. And so it is not integrated. It's also not going to pop up in your Enphase app, your Solar Edge app, your Generac app. This is, again, an all-inclusive, this is just another piece of our ecosystem. So I would guess that's going to be a big difference.
The ability to see the capacity available in the battery stack.
What's that?
The ability for the device to see the capacity that's available within the battery stack.
I'd be interested to learn too, like what the warranty term is on those devices. It could be 10 years. Again, I'm not familiar with it, but there's a 10-year warranty on this device to match the inverter warranty. And oftentimes you see with breakers, it's not, the warranty on those is not quite as long. But I'm sure it's a really cool device. And I'm always excited to see, the new technology become available to installers.
Yeah. And this is a cool one. They kind of made a splash at SPI. I know they were there this year. I believe they may have even been there last year. So it's one to keep an eye on.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. One thing that we haven't mentioned is, in terms of advantages, PWRcell is DC coupled again. Sorry, I know I've said that a number of times. One of the benefits that I feel like we don't talk about so much is that, and our platform has been able to do this for years, for like the 6 years that I've been with the platform. When the grid goes down, if there is enough solar available, our optimizers will load follow to match the load in the house if the battery is full. This is an inherent advantage of a DC coupled system. So grid's down, you got an 8 kilowatt system on the roof, bright sunny day, maybe it's a PG&E proactive safety power shutoff. The house is consuming 2 kW, right? Our optimizers are going to automatically match that load, and we won't send anything to the battery because the battery's full. Some of our competitors, AC coupled competitors, will, literally, they just don't have the ability to say, hey, Solar Edge, or hey, Enphase, the house is only consuming 1 kW and the battery's full. There's nowhere for the power to go. So that product needs to literally shut off the PV inverter. And in some cases, it will discharge a battery on a bright sunny day instead of just backing up the house from the sun. And in our case, we will always load follow with the optimizers. We will only ever kick in the battery if and only if there's not enough solar to meet the load in the house. All right, let's jump into next steps here. The first step is to familiarize yourself with, for those of you who don't know who your outside sales rep is, your market development managers, we call them at Generac. familiarize yourself with this chart here. We'll make this available, Aaron, in the follow-up email if possible. Really, the first steps to be connected to your market development manager so that we can help you look at bill of materials from BayWa, one lines, what is your average configuration going to look like? And then we're going to want to do sales training with the team to help your teams become familiar with the platform and what the advantages that I went over today are, so that they're able to reiterate those advantages to homeowners in the field. I'll leave this up for a second, just so if you're looking at who you're going to be working with, you can take a note of that. I will say, Aaron, we are also going to be at RE Plus in Austin. John Jones is going to be there, as well as Kelly Berg. Kelly manages our distribution partners. And last week, I had the pleasure of being in Sacramento with my California team, which was awesome to see some folks up at RE Plus there. So, all right.
Great. Sounds like folks will have to come find you all at RE Plus in Texas as well.
Absolutely. So once we connect you with your outside rep, we're going to want to schedule sales training, review pricing, bill of materials, again, that you receive from BayWa. Once you get a few systems sold, we're going to want to make sure your technical team is prepared to install. Of course, we have an online certification training that is learn as you go. Their online learning modules takes about 8 hours in total. So, if you're having rainy days in California, feel free to get that team jump started. In the certification training, you can start, and stop. And then once you're a few weeks out from the install, we'll want to review one lines and plans just to make sure that you have everything set up the way it needs to be set up. And then hopefully we could have someone with enough notice. We're very happy to have technical folks there to help support a first install. For those of you who've been working with us for a long time, one of the things that has evolved nicely is our field support team. So we've got 3 tech support centers, Portland, Maine, Waukesha, Wisconsin, and Bend, Oregon. But now we also have a lot of regional application engineers. So, we've got, I've got one in Massachusetts, New York, Maine. I have 2 and a supervisor. We have 2 in North Carolina, 1 in Florida, 1 in the Midwest. We have a few in the West. And we have
really positions. Built out.
Yeah, so we have, we have almost as many, field service engineers as we do salespeople, just to help out with first installs.
That's great.
And be a point of support for contractors. That's something we heard the market say that they wanted. And so we've been really, really focused on building out that support. Everyone who signs on with us will have access to a PowerFleet account, which is where I pulled that cool screenshot of the house that was not buying from the grid. And you'll be able to see where your sites are located. Do you have any alerts? What's the severity of those alerts? It'll actually give you full troubleshooting tips too. So if you have an alert and it's no connectivity, it's going to tell you, go check the internet connection or call the homeowner, truck roll not likely, etc. And we've got a ton of resources for our installers to be made available to you as well in a follow-up. Definitely make sure you look into the Generac Clean Energy YouTube page I referenced earlier in the presentation, which has a lot of install videos if you're curious how the battery installs or how the PD links install, etc. How you commission the system. It's super easy. We've got videos on all of that on the YouTube channel. Spec sheets, line diagrams, everything. We try to make our website very helpful to folks so that we can, save you phone calls when you don't need them. All right, so we're gonna do sales training. You're gonna get trained, and then you're gonna install your first system. We're gonna support you with that. And then you're going to get a $1,000 check from Generac because you took advantage of our buy and try campaign. Essentially, you're going to go to generac.com/ I believe it's welcome offer. And we can walk you through this as well once you're ready to get started. But we're literally going to write you a $1,000 check for giving Generac a shot. So please definitely take advantage of this.
And that opportunity, it's said on the slide, but maybe we can just call it out. So it looks like it's good until December 31st of this year.
Correct. Yeah, we'll run this through the end of the year.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out, Aaron. And a new program that we're building and really just launching now is our tiered partner program. So you've installed that first system, you got $1,000 cash. You're excited to use that as an incentive for the next person who's going to sell a PWRcell system. And as you grow with Generac, you'll move through these tiers from certified installer to select partner, elite partner, premier partner. And what that's going to do is give you marketing dollars to help to help spend on marketing, buy your brochures, buy branded shirts, etc. It'll give you access to a priority support line. It's going to give you more leads. It's going to prioritize you on our dealer locators so that when homeowners go to Generac.com and they're looking for who can install a PWRcell system, you'll be more advantageously located on there. And it will also escalate your warranty trip reimbursement. So you're going to get paid more for service work if you're higher up on the tiers here. And the qualifications for growing here is really about registrations. It's really about registrations and number of people that you have trained technically.
This is a really exciting program, Jeff, and I want to take a minute to highlight some of the benefits of being a premier partner. I would imagine that everyone on the call has heard of the Generac brand outside of the context of the clean energy division. And I would reckon that probably goes for a lot of homeowners as well. So, my understanding is you all have folks contacting you pretty regularly to find out, what are the options for powering my home, be they with one of your more typical generator products or with a clean energy product. And those leads are incredibly valuable. So for the partners that you have that are at that premier status, they get access to those leads, and it can really be a boon for their business, their local businesses, to be able to take advantage of that national lead generation engine that you all have built.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what we find from our contractors, especially over the last 3-6 months, et cetera, as we've more so dialed in the lead program. Our contractors love getting these leads. It's a much higher quality lead than what they're seeing from some of their paid programs. That's a huge benefit. And it carries a lot of weight. If a homeowner's getting a quote from someone who's a premier partner versus just a certified installer, who are they going to work with, right? They're going to trust the premiered installer. Probably allows them to charge a little bit of a premium because they've got more experience with the product, et cetera. All around good. Lastly, I want to make you aware of our buy 5 get 1 battery module promo. This will literally save you thousands of dollars on a system. So again, there's up to 6 battery packs in a single battery cabinet. If you buy 5 battery modules, you are getting the equivalent. We're discounting them such that you are getting the equivalent of 1 battery module for free, which means you're getting 3 kilowatt hours basically at no charge. And if you do the math on a price per kilowatt hour, you're saving, up to $2,000 or so. So you're going to save a lot of money right now with this promotion. For those of you who are in California, this is being coupled with a deep special pricing agreement that is to help you grow with batteries for NEM 3. And so definitely, reach out to your BayWa rep to get more information about Generac's NEM 3 special pricing agreement. And again, this is part of it. But what we're seeing honestly is that contractors who are working with competitive products are literally saving thousands of dollars, especially in the NEM 3 promo, thousands of dollars doing this. And for systems that are going to be cycling on a daily basis, we're going to save you money, your homeowners money, and the system is going to operate more efficiently. It is a better platform for that program for your homeowners. All right, Aaron, I would love to take some time and answer questions if we have the time.
Yeah, we have a couple minutes here. And there's a question here. If anyone else does have a question, please throw it in the Q&A section and we'll get to as many as we can in the minutes we have left. So Jeff, what would you say your opinions are on the benefits or disadvantages of something like bidirectional EV charging for backup needs?
I'm curious if people are they asking in reference to like electric vehicles?
Yeah, in reference to electric vehicles, right? There are a few different, and I could go ahead and say, unless you had something you wanted to jump off with on this point.
I'll give you if they're asking for my opinion.
Yeah, please.
If they're asking for my opinion, I have an electric vehicle, and when the grid is down, you're always, and I have 3 kids under the age of 5. So, when the grid is down, you're kind of always like just waiting for it to come back up, right? Like, I mean, we're fortunate to have a Generac, we have the PWRcell system, we have a generator, we have Ecobee, we have everything. Here, we're the beta customer basically. But we, you're always waiting for that to come back up. I would not sacrifice miles on my vehicle to back up my house necessarily, because in the event that a storm, like in Maine, we get ice storms, right? And so it could last. We've lost power for like 2-3 days before. Mm-hmm. If I'm a typical customer with an electric vehicle and not a PWRcell or a generator, you know, I would be thinking like, I don't want to give up miles to back up my house because I might need to get to a hotel and stay somewhere if my battery depletes.
Or a family member's house where they've got power.
Or a family member's house where you need to go somewhere and pick someone up to bring them to your house. And I think our CEO gave a great speech at our dealer conference back in January. And, you know, he used the example of like, especially in places like California, where you're really concerned about wildfires, for example, like you don't want to sacrifice mobility, you know, for anything. Really. You want the ability to get out of there if there's a potentially prolonged grid outage and get to a place that has power. So that's my opinion. I think it'd be awesome to one day for Generac to have DC chargers that can, you know, run off the DC bus and run into an electric vehicle. I think we're a ways out from that at this point, but it's a really cool concept, and you know, I think the technology will get there. I think a lot of players are going to try to get there quickly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, is like, you're always going to be, you know, limited in those vehicle to X applications in terms of reducing your mileage. And then also, you know, it's a bit of uncharted territory right now, right? So it really depends on how all of those components are going to work together, but you're not going to have something going directly to the DC bus of the vehicle. More than likely, it's going to be an AC connection. And so you'll lose all of the benefits of having a DC coupled solution. So there are a couple other questions that popped up that I think we could answer quickly, even though we're at about time. So apologize for running a little over here. So what's the timeline for the launch of the DC generator solution?
End of year.
End of 2020.
The latest that I've heard. End of this year.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still fielding beta units. I think we've got 30 or so of them installed. It's a cool product. I will say we do have the ability to do AC generator integration now, as long as the contractor is certified for PWRcell and generators. And so, you know, if you have homeowners that are waiting on a DC gen and could potentially be a good candidate for AC generator integration, we'll be happy to help support that. And make sure that those homeowners are taken care of, because I know folks have been waiting a while for that product.
Yeah, we've seen some betas happening as well. So, what about let's see here, the potential for using the Generac clean energy solutions in off-grid applications? Is that something that's recommended or not, and why so?
Yeah, the reason that we don't advertise for the off-grid market is because I can support like 10 grid-tied customers in the same period of time that I can support one off-grid customer. And so where grid-tied applications are 99% of the opportunity, that's where our core focus is. Will that change in the future? Potentially, especially now that we've got good cell kits, et cetera. But it really just comes down to troubleshooting time. If there's a problem with an off-grid customer, you know, there's an install-related problem, et cetera. It's more time consuming to troubleshoot and support. Oftentimes, if it's off-grid, there's no internet connectivity. There's, you know, great, you got a cell kit. There's no cell service out here. So it's just very difficult. Historically, it's just been a really difficult customer base to support. I love the concept of it. You know, these systems are designed to run without a grid connection for super long. We've had systems that have been, you know, pounding for months. But you know, in terms of support, we want to make sure we can support all of our contractors, all of our customers quickly and efficiently. And that customer base seems to erode from that.
Okay. Yeah, definitely understand that answer. Thanks.
Yeah.
And we had one more pop up here. So can the battery system be set up to charge from the grid? We have a customer that wants a battery solution, but not solar. So can system be installed without PV DC coupled? Absolutely.
Yep, we see that. We see it more frequently than I would have expected. But yeah, you just install the inverter and the battery transfer switch, everything but the PV components, and you're good to go. And believe it or not, we have some generator customers who are, you know, some of their customers, HOAs, et cetera, places where they can't install generators, but homeowners want backup, they can install batteries. And so we are seeing that. And yes, the system works well in that scenario.
It's an awesome system. It's an awesome solution. And we're really thankful for you taking some time out of your day today to come tell us and our customers more about it. Apologize to everyone for running over a little bit, but just lots of really great questions. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and checking us out. If you haven't already, go ahead and go to solar-distribution.com. And there you can click the register link. If you don't have an account with us, we'll get you set up and you'll be able to see product, pricing, availability, all of that once you have a username and password to log on to our web store. So we'll look forward to working with all of you. And thank you all again for your time. And Jeff, thanks so much for your presentation and for your preparation today.
Yep, Aaron, as always, thank you so much to you and the BayWa team. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a great day, great week.